you seen Star Wars?
Man, how many years have we been talking about Mace Windu surviving Revenge of the Sith, him coming back? This character is kind of in a unique spot with its relationship with the fandom. Since the Clone Wars came out, I remember a lot of people saying like, oh, I no longer like Mace Windu, like he's kind of a jerk to Ahsoka, like we don't really like Mace Windu, he's not a good character, he's just a bad person that we don't like. But then when the movies came out, no one really liked Mace Windu because it was just Samuel Jackson just kind of sitting around not doing much. I always had a unique inkling to like Mace. I think it's because of the purple lightsaber. I really like the uniqueness to it. And I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just a Samuel Jackson effect, but I always have been kind of fond of the character of Mace Windu, and Samuel Jackson has been saying for years now that he would like his character returned. I think I remember in 2017 at that Star Wars celebration, he sent like a video in saying like, George, let me come back or whatever. And recently, in this past week or so, he was on a podcast where he specifically said, you know, I have actually talked to Bryce Dallas Howard about me returning, and I think he even said like, that's the only person I've ever said that to, which is funny because we know that's at least bare minimum a lie, because he of course said this to George Lucas. He's talked about this openly for years. I don't think he's talked to anyone specifically in like a directorial role. I remember, I think even last year or something, I came out with a video saying that I had heard that Samuel Jackson and Liam Neeson were in talks with Lucasfilm about both of them reprising their characters. Of course, Liam Neeson is seemingly coming true because he's going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, is what all the rumors are saying, but I heard that they stopped talking to Samuel Jackson's team, but I don't even know if he really knew about that. I mean, there's always these scenarios in Hollywood where someone's talking about talking and they're meeting about meeting and all that stuff. But anyways, let's talk about the possibility of Mace Windu returning, and if that's even a good idea. Before we do, please leave a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content. Star Wars does have a unique history of these dead characters returning. I mean, the ones that I can go off of the top of my head are, of course, Emperor Palpatine. Rise of Skywalker comes back from the dead. He even does it a lot in the expanded universe. Then we have Darth Maul in the Clone Wars. Boba Fett is also a clear example of someone who died and came back to life. I think Rey technically died in Rise of Skywalker and then came back to life. And if we're counting Force Ghost, you have to include people like Darth Vader with his Force Ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi. Same with Yoda, same with Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker, Leia, Organa, maybe even Han Solo, because I don't know what the hell that was at the end of Rise of Skywalker, but there he was. I mean, we have a clear history of at least certain characters coming back to life, and it baffles me because there are Star Wars fans who just vehemently do not want Mace Windu to return because they're like, well, he's dead. He was electrocuted, his hand was chopped off, and he was thrown out of a window, so he's dead. And I get that, I understand that completely. But at the same time, where were you when Palpatine came back? Where were you when Boba Fett came back? And mainly, where were you when Darth Maul came back? He was cut in half and fell arguably the same distance that Mace Windu did, and somehow still survived. So if Darth Maul can survive literally being cut in half, and Boba can survive being in a pit of acid for the Sarlacc stomach thing, whatever you want to call the deep depths of that poor creature is, I mean, I think that means Mace Windu could possibly survive being electrocuted and having his arm cut off. I mean, he's thrown out the window. If he lands on his back, then yes, he's dead. But who's to say he didn't land on some speeder somewhere? Who's to say he, didn't use the Force to slow himself down? Who's to say he didn't crash through a window on a building that's a little below the one that Palpatine is at? I mean, that's a pretty tall building, right? I don't think this is the hardest thing to explain. The question is, do we need to? I mean, what can you really get from Mace Windu returning as a character? What is he going to do? I mean, we're not going to see him talk to Yoda or Mace Windu, most likely. We're likely not going to see him fight anyone of interest. I think if he came back, he would have to die at the hands of the Sith, but do you want to see him fight Darth Vader? It's like, that's a little bit too out of left field. That's too fan servicey. That's too weird, in my opinion, to just have him come back and fight Darth Vader and then be killed off again. It's like, okay, well then what was really the point? Rematch with Darth Sidious? That sounds interesting, that sounds fun, but we've already seen it before and it was a fine fight, but do we really need a second one? I think if anything, if you bring him back, and I don't know how you would even do it or where it would be, if he's going to die again, because that's the thing, is he has to die again. He has to, in my opinion, if you are a Jedi, you have to be dead by the beginning of A New Hope. for me, that is just the mark. All right, I dislike that Ahsoka lived past that. I dislike that Ezra lived past that. I dislike that apparently Cal Kestis might even live past it. I do not like the idea of any Jedi except for Obi-Wan and Yoda living past A New Hope. But I'll let that rest right now. I think Mace Windu, if he comes back, he should die at the hand of the Inquisitors. I said this on Twitter. I think he should be jumped by every single Inquisitor there is, including the Grand Inquisitor. I think Palpatine should find out that Mace Windu's alive, and he's like, oh shit. And he just sends all of the Inquisitors. He's like, I'm too scared, you guys go deal with that. And Mace, let's say he kills like half of them. I don't know how many of these Inquisitors are either already dead by this point or what happens, but we'll make it work in the canon. You just take the ones that we know that they're dead and we haven't seen them die yet or something like that. Or maybe just introduce new ones and have it like kind of be just a title thing like James Bond. You know, the 11th sister can just become the 11th brother because the sister died last year or something. And all these Inquisitors show up, Mace Windu kills like half of them, and then he dies. I mean, that seems like a poetic ending for him, I guess. But that goes back to the question of, story-wise, what would be the point? What would be the point of bringing Mace Windu back? I don't really feel like there is a necessity or a need for him. Darth Maul was a really great villain for Obi-Wan. His uniqueness in the situation of the Clone Wars, of knowing who Darth Sidious is and kind of rising up through the criminal underworld, that really created great stories for Star Wars down the line with his return. Boba Fett, we had the Book of Boba Fett. Palpatine seemed a little bit more explainable because, unlike Boba Fett or even Darth Maul, is that his connection to the Force was very spiritual. It was very divine in the sense that he had a lot of power that people just do not understand. And I mean, you know the whole dark side of the Force, pathway, new abilities, naturally, yeah, whatever, who gives a fuck, all right? Point is, these characters can come back, but they have to work within the story. I don't think Palpatine's return truly worked in the story, but I think there is a way to make that work. We made Boba Fett work, we made Darth Maul work, we made all these Force Ghosts work. I think Mace Windu can't really work. I really don't understand what would work in his story for him to return, but you tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think would work for Mace Windu returning to Star Wars? What would be the story outline that would make that a reality and make it satisfying for Star Wars fans? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you like it, please leave a like on the channel and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Follow my Instagram and Twitter. They're both in the links in the description below. And don't forget Chatween's on Wednesday nights. Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for all of that. Link in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.